Hello, I wasn't even going to plan a video today, but I had to. Welcome back to my channel. If you don't know who I am, my name is Mackenzie Janelle, and I talk about literally everything that I want to, or whatever I want to on my channel, including celebrities and other types of things. So whatever, that's your introduction. Today's video, I kind of want to briefly talk about how badly teenagers are represented in the media and how wrongly high school is portrayed in the media. Now, I won't say that there's really a super normal high school experience, but I think that there are a lot of common things. Like, you know, there's people on the cheer squad that are at football games. Football games are really fun to go to. Everyone loves football games in high school, things like that. And basketball games, those are also really fun, you know, like High School Musical type stuff like that. And prom is a rite of passage. No one really talks about homecoming unless you have like different types of dances and things like that. That's kind of just the very basic high school experience with a lot of other types of different things sprinkled in. And of course, every high school is different, but there's a lot of common things between high schools that kind of make up the high school teenage experience, you know? I just want to talk about why the media gets it wrong almost every single time, or, you know, the ones that get it right. For me, I would say that obviously I didn't really have a very regular high school experience. I moved high schools 3 times, and then I moved to different places and cities 3 times. So for 9th and 10th grade year, I was at the same high school, but it was a private Christian high school. And then I transferred to a public high school, a big one at that. I did not like it for a couple of months. And then I moved from Michigan to Virginia Beach, and then COVID happened. So after I finished my year there, my junior year, this was my junior year, for my senior year, we were still in COVID, but we moved to a different city in Virginia. And I started going to a new school. But then a couple of months before my senior year ended, I moved to a different city, and I moved to Maryland instead of Virginia. So my high school experience was not very normal. I mean, for the first 2 years, I would say that it was pretty kind of normal. I didn't go to football games because that's a long story. I was never able to go to football games really because I just didn't have the time. I went to one basketball game maybe. I could never go to sports events because my time was just always being occupied. I didn't really hang out with the people there that much because, again, my time was always being occupied, so I couldn't hang out on the weekends either. I actually almost missed being in a play like twice, and it wasn't the high school play either. So my time, it was just never lining up. I feel like I just had my priorities wrong, so I didn't get the full high school experience that I actually could have had, you know? But there's a lot of different things, there's a lot of insane things that are portrayed in high school in the media. So like Euphoria. One thing that I can say, obviously in all forms of media, high schoolers are always played by grown actors and actresses, I'm guessing because, you know, they're more mature and things like that, and they're able to portray characters better, I guess, and also because of like scheduling conflicts and times like that, and times that the actors and actresses can work, that they have to use adults who, you know, don't have that many guidelines for themselves. So I kind of understand that. But there's a line that a lot of networks and TV shows just cross. Like, they just don't know how to stay on the line with it. So for Euphoria, I absolutely love Euphoria. I think that Rue, Zendaya's character Rue, is a pretty accurate portrayal of a teenager who will be going through addiction and different things like that. I've never struggled with that, so I wouldn't exactly know what it's about, but she gives a very amazing performance and really makes you feel like this is someone, like a teenager, that is struggling with these things. Especially since, you know, a lot of times in your teenage years, when you go through like a traumatic event or something tragic happens in your life, we are not always going to find very healthy coping mechanisms. It's like, I can compare this situation to the Vampire Diaries. So at the beginning of the Vampire Diaries, Elena and Jeremy, her brother, their parents died, and Elena she was kind of coping with it, but not really. And Jeremy, his way of coping with it was drugs, as many teenagers do. Like, lots of teenagers will probably smoke weed in high school and things like that. I don't know about prescription pills, but I mean, maybe. And then in Euphoria, we find out that Rue, her dad actually died from cancer, which is a big reason why she got addicted to like pain medication and things like that, and why she overdosed the first time. So yeah, I would say things like that. I guess you could say that's pretty accurate. The way that they dress, obviously that's just going to be completely different with each decade and with each generation. If you compare like the way that teenagers dressed in High School Musical, you'd probably like gag, because it's like, what are they wearing? But also, if you compare it with the outfits that they wear in Euphoria, it's kind of like, well, this is a lot more tame. And honestly, I would go with this rather than what they're wearing in Euphoria. And it's not all the people, though. I would say the only characters that really was just dressing all types of crazy was Kat, Maddie, sometimes Cassie. I don't understand how none of them was getting dress coded, because with the way that high schools have dress codes set up for women and girls in high school, I don't understand how none of them was getting dress coded. The only person that I could see that would kind of be a realistic person is Nate Jacobs, because he dresses like a regular white boy, and Rue. And yeah, pretty much. Maybe Jules, because there's always that like one girl that's like very eccentric and like quirky in high school. So maybe Jules, but definitely Rue, because she's just super chill, super laid back, and her fashion sense, I mean, she doesn't really have a fashion, like she doesn't really have a style. She just kind of wears whatever the heck she wants. So I would say that fashion in high school definitely changes throughout the years. The situations that they go through, I love that I don't see many teen shows, the ones that I watch, that are always having to do with like a pregnant student storyline, because while it's not a super common occurrence in high schools, it does happen. People do get pregnant in high school, but I'm glad that like it's not a whole thing anymore, and it's not just for like a plot line anymore, because lots of times there's really only like a couple of girls, but that depends on where you're at as well too, but there's really only like maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 girls that would get pregnant in high school. I've never known any girls that got pregnant in high school, but I have known people to have babies in high school. So I'm talking about like just guys in general. I just don't know their baby mamas. So I would say that that's really just faded, because there was a whole show called Secret Life of a Pregnant Teenager or something like that. Secret Life of a Teenager, Pregnant Teenager, something like that. So I'm glad that they don't do that anymore. One thing that I don't really like, I used to like it, but now I don't like it anymore, the student-teacher romance thingy. I know, it's icky now. Specifically Arya and Ezra and Pretty Little Liars, I'm still trying to condition myself to like not like that relationship, because obviously when you're young and you see that, you're kind of just like, wow, imagine if I had a teacher that looked like that, I would do the same thing too. But no, most of the time in high school you will not get a good looking man like that as your teacher. So it's really icky and it's gross, and it really just served as a way to portray more high school students in very abusive type of relationships, and also just to show more sexual situations for high schoolers when they really didn't need to do that. Pretty Little Liars was a fever dream. Let's just say that, because they had insane plot lines. So I'm glad that not too many stories do that. And then it got even worse in like Riverdale. I don't even want to mention Riverdale, to be honest, because that is the worst show that you could say is like a teen high school type of drama. That's the worst show to bring up. I liked it at first, but then I stopped liking it. And the whole thing with Archie and that one teacher, Miss Grundy or Grunt, I don't know her name. That whole thing was weird, and then she got murdered, so it's kind of like, okay, what was the point of any of this? Just like sex in general is just kind of annoying. There's some shows that can do it good and not make it too cringy, but then there's the ones like on Netflix that are just a little bit too much. Obviously Riverdale is not Netflix, but it is CW, but it is on Netflix. I don't even watch that no more. I don't understand why they keep making episodes and seasons of that. Ginny and Georgia, that was like the best part about that show was literally Marcus. Maybe Georgia. No, Georgia for sure. But the rest of it was like, what is happening? It was just all very, very cringy. There are some pretty good teen TV shows. I think like 2000s TV shows, like teen TV shows were really good, and like early 2000s movies, like High School Musical, that gave you it gave me a very idolized version of high school. Like, it really had me thinking I was going to fall in love in high school with somebody just like Gabriella and Troy. Even though if I was Gabriella, I would have been dumped Troy because he was treating her like trash a lot. But things like High School Musical really had me thinking that my life was just about to be so amazing. And like Starstruck, Jessica falling in love with the whole celebrity, I really thought that was about to be my life in high school, like, because I lived in Michigan too, and she was from Michigan in the movie. So just going like to somewhere like California on a trip or something and meeting a celebrity, that was like my dream right there. And that wasn't really about high school. Shows like That's So Raven, Wizards of Waverly Place didn't even really focus on high school too much, and I couldn't always relate to it because it was literally like they were wizards. But early 2000s shows and early 2000s movies of high school were way better than the quality of high school shows now. It's like now that they're just always written by super old people that are just trying to be trendy and woke and like hip to like all the slang and the language and things that high schoolers think that we use, when it's like, no, oh my god, you sound like an idiot. You sound like that one girl or that one guy that talks like that, and it just sucks. There's just so many inaccurate portrayals of a regular high school. Like, I mean, one of them, of course, is like the super jock, like the super jock. I've seen like jocks before in like high school, but like not the ones that they give you on TV. It's like their whole personality is just football, yeah, weights, yeah, and it's like, okay, do you have any other personality other than just playing football? Like, no? The football team is your whole life?
I dropped out in the 4th grade to run drugs to support my nana.
That means you haven't known the triumphs and defeats, the epic highs and lows of high school football.
Please. Or just all the students, no matter who you are, all the students are most likely having sex. It's like, come on now. And that's really just an excuse from older people that direct the show and produce the show just to have these pretty much good-looking, attractive actors in these sexual situations just to look good. Because, first of all, not everybody in high school looks like that. I'm 18 and I look like this. It's like, and all the actors in the high school shows look like supermodels. Not supermodels. Let's not go that far. Well, they look like they could model. It's like, okay. And not to mention all of them are like skinny and white. There's no diversity. There's a big lack of flavor in many of those shows. They've gotten better with that. I think the only streaming platform that kind of is good with diversity and inclusion is Netflix, but then they just go too far. Like, lots of it is just written by white people, so it's like, okay, well, now you just messed this entire character up and I can't relate to them at all. So that sucks. They make high school look cool, but also just not cool. And then, of course, we still have cliques. I think that much of it is like not cliquey anymore, like traditional cliques, but it's still pretty cliquey where it has those certain types of groups. Like the one movie, the teen high school movie that I would say has the most cliquey like format in it is obviously Mean Girls. And High School Musical, they had a whole song, stick to the stuff you know that. So that's the one. Those are the two that I would say are very cliquey, because it was like literally Troy's life could not be anything else but basketball. You want to sing, you're talented. No. You want to have other personality traits, then rather than just being a good athlete, yeah, no. Or Zeke, he was also on the basketball team, and he was like, hey, I can make a mean creme brulee. And they was like, the horror, a creme brulee? You want to bake? Who do you think you are? Or Chad, as Corbin Blue as Chad, when he just played basketball and sports, and he was like, I can't dance. And then Ryan was like, babe, no. He was like, come on now. You're literally dancing right now. Most of those situations just are not realistic. They have to pump up high schoolers to be more interesting than what they really are and more scandalous than what they really are, because people are just kind of obsessed with watching teens do crazy things and get into dangerous situations. It's very weird. It's like not many people want to watch a show about college students, or they don't want to watch a show about like middle-aged people. I mean, now I watch Good Girls all the time and I love that, but most of the time people just want to watch high schoolers, just all the time, even though they look like they're in their 30s and 40s. I'm talking about you, Grease. I don't understand it, because really it's not that interesting. I mean, I guess sometimes your life can be pretty exciting as a high schooler, but the vast majority of us are not getting into situations like Riverdale or Mean Girls or Euphoria. Many of us do not have a dad like Nate Jacobs. Many of us are not Nate Jacobs. We're not Cassie. We're not Maddie. Some of us might be Rue, and some of us might be Jules. But other than that, it's kind of like not. One thing that I will say was very accurate that I love that they included it. Not the exact concept, but what I like that they included in Euphoria was the very different parts. Like, I just don't like how they made Kat out to be this like weirdo girl that wrote fan fiction that was like big, and she only got like her confidence from being, first of all, from like literally illegally posting like sex content. That whole situation, I just didn't really like that, especially the whole what is that, Larry, the Harry Styles and the Louis Tomlinson situation, the fanfic. But people do it. You would not think that people still do it, but people do it. But it's not common. It's only like really weird people who have no sense of boundaries. But other than that, I just feel like we can stop making shows about teenagers. We can stop making shows about high school. It's done. It's done. There's really no new concepts that you can give me that would make me want to watch it. We've gotten everything, like literally everything. Vampire Diaries, they took the corner on paranormal and supernatural stuff. They got literally everything. They got a siren, they got vampires, they got werewolves, they got witches, they got hybrids. They literally took everything. And then there was also Teen Wolf. So yeah, no more werewolves either. There's literally nothing else that a person could give me as an idea for high schoolers. I want something new. I will say that even though, because this was like 80s or something, like 70s, 80s. So high school then was different from high school now. But I absolutely love the portrayals of like Nancy and Jonathan and Steve and Billy and all of them, because they're supposed to be high schoolers. But I liked how they were all like Mike and Will and Lucas and Dustin and all of them. I like how they were middle schoolers, like late middle schoolers going into like high school. I love that because you could see the progression in their personalities. They look like we grew up pretty much through those seasons with them. So I love Stranger Things. And it's an amazing concept. The whole thing is just absolutely amazing. So with that being said, I would like everyone to stop making shows about high school. I know there's going to be a Gossip Girl reboot. I probably will not be watching it. I didn't watch the first Gossip Girls, as my iPad is stacked on a thing of Gossip Girl books. I didn't watch the series. I kind of don't really see what the hype's about. I couldn't get through the first couple of episodes. I'll probably have to try it again. I don't know. But everything's been done. High schoolers are not that wild. They're not that crazy. So why do we keep acting like they are? Our lives are not that exciting. We literally just coast through every single day, waiting until the day we graduate and get our diploma, and then try to figure out for the next couple of years who we are. On my block too, with the whole gang thing in there, it did give a really refreshing thing. And like Elite, honestly, they was just doing all types of crazy stuff. But these are rich people, so there's different factors. Give me something different. The whole Stranger Things in middle school kids, okay, I like that. I really like that. Good girls with middle-aged married women with children, I really like that. If I want to see more things about high school, I will go back to High School Musical. I will go back to, I don't know, things like One Tree Hill, Degrassi, I don't know. Any producers or directors or writers or anything, please quit giving me high school stories. High school is not that fun. It's not all that. So let's quit acting like it is. So yeah, that was my rant. I hope you enjoyed this video. If I'm wrong about my opinion, or if you think I'm wrong, give me your opinion in the comments below, because I know my high school experience was just super weird and it was impacted by a whole pandemic. So maybe I'm wrong. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Turn on my post notifications so you can see when I post. And go follow my social media down in the description below. And I will see you on the next video. Bye.